beautiful you are. Have nobody ever told you that you are so worthy of love? Walk and you will see. This is just the beginning to all things are so beautiful, and you just have to wait and see how all things are going to be. That was just the flow. Beautiful, yes. Okay, welcome. This is me, the Infinity Midwife, coming to you once again. I hope you're taking care of your minds, your hearts, and your entire being. That was the melody I had. So I hope you guys are doing great. I'm doing great. I'm super blessed. So I'm coming to y'all with another message. Yes. So you see, now I've been doing some tarot. You know, it's funny how I was just running across memory lane, and I started doing videos and on this channel last year around the same time, and I feel like it's a year already. Not that I have increased in numbers of views, or not that I have increased the numbers of subscribers, and all those that are here, I'm super grateful that you do watch the videos, that you do encourage me with the likes, that you do come and see what I'm about. I'm super grateful for it. But the goal was mainly for me to practice, for me to be practicing being obedient, okay? So this channel was mainly for me to share a story. It started off like that. And then it came to, you know, I was just obedient with whatever messages I was receiving. So it started from sharing my own personal story, my own personal experience that I've been through. And then it was about, you know, more of the collective shadow. And then it just grew. And I'm seeing my own growth, and I'm grateful for it, you know, and it's okay if it's not out there, if it's not, you know, nationally, or if it's not well known. That's not the point. The point is for me to see that I've grown, you know, I've kept up with it. You know, I did not, you know, even though sometimes I was not, you know, consistent, but I still, you know, kept a beat, and I'm grateful to be here. I'm still grateful to, you know, tap into all of this. So yes, I'm super grateful. So you guys, I'm coming with another message. This one is particular. You know, I was thinking about, you know, I'm a single mother. I have 3 beautiful boys, and the more that I'm advancing on this journey, on this soul evolution, the more I realize that, you know, I really have to step up my game when it comes to parenting, right? There's one way of parenting that, you know, everybody grew up upon or grew up with. And that was, you know, what you came in contact with. So how your parents raised you, you know, how were you taught? And most of the times, you know, when you become a parent, most of the time you just fall in line with whatever was taught to you, right? Or you try to, you know, give to your children whatever you didn't have. But I feel like it's, you know, there's a deeper layer here, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys. So when I say I you know, as a parent, as a single mother, I need to step up my game. I'm still, you know, evolving as a parent and as a person, as an individual. But I feel that, you know, because I utilize certain divination tools like tarot cards, like dices, like I have other things. So, you know, it's important for me to, you know, start diving a little more deeper into, you know, my own journey as to, you know, how far can I go? How deeper can I go? So I wanted to share a message. So here I have a cross on the table. I have across some tarot cards that, you know, I've pulled out. Okay. Now, for me, it was important today to talk about this because it is not often talked about how parenting, or, how you can intertwine the understanding of spirituality or even divination and apply it in your everyday life. What am I saying? I'm saying that, if you look at the elements, because the tarot cards, the suits, they are all pertaining to elements, okay? They are all pertaining to, so you have the Queen of Cups, that is pertaining to the water element. It evolves around emotions. You have the Queen of Wands, which is the suite of passion, of fire. So everything that has to do with creativity, with passion, with self-development, with actions. That's the suite. And then you have this Queen of Pentacles, who has other characteristics that represents the earth element, the investments, the energy, the focus, the consistency, the discipline, so it's all characteristics that are pertaining to elements, but they are replicated in our everyday life, and they can help us evolve on our journey. Here you have the Queen of Swords, who's very mentally aware. She knows how to express herself, right? She is very discerning. If you come at her with some form of lies or try to, tell her something that isn't true, she's gonna, lift up her sword and, use it to defend herself. She can be very defensive. She's very swift. She listens to all forms of expressions, but she is also there not as a judge, but she's very discerning, very critical, very analytical. So all these characteristics that I find in these suites, okay, are all pertaining to elements. If you are, if you've been taking some time to go out into nature and to see how birds and trees and water and how the sun and how it's a whole ecosystem, I find it so, interesting as to why aren't we as people, individuals, why aren't we so close to nature, right? Why are we so much trapped into our, into old ideologies that nature is of the devil, or, you shouldn't head into the forest because of legends and myths and all these stories that, keeps us from actually wanting to get to know and to be more intertwined with nature, right? So that's my thing. That's how I came into my spiritual practice. It's just to get into nature, and from then I was able to observe and see that there are many, many reflections of God in nature, right? So why am I talking about these suites, these different suites that are pertaining to the elements? Because I feel like as a parent, we should all thrive to develop characteristics within our own individual selves, to become more versatile and more adaptable to embodying these different characteristics. Because when you become when you've mastered all four characteristics or all four elements, right, through life experience, because only experiences of life can make you, adapt through these different characteristics. Only then you can then embody the Empress, right? The Empress is the wholeness of these, of these four suites, as much as the Emperor, right? And if you look at them, they both have a lot of wisdom, right? They've built an empire for themselves through life experience. And when I say empire, right, you can think it in a very physical, material, right? They're very wealthy. You can as well look at it from an emotional standpoint, from a mental standpoint, from a material standpoint, and from a spiritual standpoint, emotional standpoint too. So look at them. Like life experience shaped them to step up and to become emperor of their own kingdom and queendom. Okay. But I feel like even a level further, right? When you even go beyond the physical or this 3D, right? You get to embody, right, the intuitive, and then the authority, right? So the intuitive is mostly it's I would say it's a octave above, right, the physical. So that's even more the subtleties, right? That's the, I want to say, the invisible, right? Getting into knowing of, you know, certain mysteries of life, right? So that's an octave above the Empress, right? Well, she's very knowing. She's into, you know, wisdom. She's into, you know, duality, universal laws, right? And then here, this Hierophant, he's very much so into the knowing of the knowledge into the books, right? Discerning the mysteries in the books into the laws that are governing these systems, these dominions that, you know, are in these 3D realities. Whether it's institution, government, religion, you will find, you know, figures of authority that are well versed in the laws or the structure and the systems that have been implanted in these realities, in these 3D realities. So they are both forms of authority. One is in the subtle world, one is in the material or 3D reality. But in the tarot, they can represent as well many other things, right? This can represent knowledge. It can represent inner knowledge. This one can represent, this figure right here can represent authority, right? It can be divine authority. It can be, you know, structural authority. It can be governmental authority. It can be inner authority, but it's always a higher authority. And it can also represent parental authority as well. But it's just, you know, the, you know, it's just the authority as to how rules and systems are applied. Okay. So why am I talking about this? And then I'm circling back to parenting. Is because when you have children, you know, I'm very far from being the conventional, traditional African mother. Okay. I started off as very traditional and conventional, and I tapped very much into the heritage of what I've been told and what I've grown upon as to how to raise children. But as I'm evolving and as I'm tapping into these different divination tools and as I'm opening up myself to an understanding of life, I kind of look at my children different. You know, in some cultures, children are looked upon as, you know, object of admiration. In some other cultures, they are tools. In some other cultures, they are liabilities. In some other cultures, they are a source of life. In some other cultures, they are burdens. In some other cultures, they are, you know, economical tools. Like, it depends. It depends across the world. Children will have different values. Okay. But I feel like, you know, once you start looking at children through a higher perspective or through different lens, and you recognize that they come with their own gifts. Okay. They come with their own understanding of, you know, this realm. They come with their own gifts and own tailored gift that was given to them by God as to, you know, how will they imprint or how will they create a world in this reality, right, that we're all living in. And so I feel like, you know, because, you know, we were in that era of bondage, we needed to shape children very early on so that they can fit into society. But as we're stepping away from that era and we're embracing, you know, individual, I want to say individual authenticity, we get the chance to reevaluate how we come into relating with, you know, different family dynamics, children, partners, spouses, friends, community. You know, we can redefine, you know, all the roles, all the value that defines what family is, what children are, what a spouse is. So there's so much things that we can just rediscover, right? So I feel like when I look at the different suites, and I've always been interested in the elementals from way back, and there are many anime that I was interested in, starting with Sailor Moon. The power of the moon. Like, there was always these different so Charmed is not an anime, but it was still something that I was interested in. So Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, not so much. Naruto a little bit more. And that's because of my children, because they were watching it, or we introduced it to them. So there are some anime that are really, really interesting. And I find that in the anime, you will get to see the elementals explained, and in various subtle ways too. So when I say the elementals, I'm talking about the elements. Okay. It's water, air, fire, water. Okay. And they all have characteristics that we can all apply in our everyday life as an individual. So for instance, when I look at the Queen of Wands, okay, the Queen of Wands, like I said, she's very passionate. She's very creative. She's not going to let people, walk all over her. She knows her worth. Like, look at the black cat sitting. Like, she loves animals. She's very loving of life because she is creativity. Okay. So when you start tapping into that element, that fire element, you realize that not only you have it, but everybody around you has it as well, including children. So children need to be around someone that's going to be creative, that's going to allow them to be passionate, have different passions, have different interests, loving life. Right? You're going to want your children to have or to develop those qualities, but you're going to have to embody them first. Right? And so if you look at the other pair, it's the King of Wands. So the way I like to looking at these suites, right? The queens are going to have an octave of knowledge that is more focused within, inward. Okay? If you look at all of them, okay, they're all focused. You see, she's focused on her cup. She's touching her wand. She's looking at her sword, but she still has a hand up. And this one is focused on her pentacle. So they're all focusing inwardly, okay? And that's more of the feminine imprint that is going to distinguish the rest of the other suite that is more masculine. Right, the King of Pentacles, look, he's just putting one hand on his pentacle, and then he has, I don't know what to call it in English, but he has something in his other hand. And look, he's looking at the masses, like he's turned outwardly, right? So his focus is more externally. Look, they're all looking at you, right? You're the observer. They're all looking at you. But this King of Wands is not. But it depends in different. That's a very classical tarot deck. But they're all looking outwardly. They're all looking what's outside of them. Okay, so that's the difference. The major difference between the Queen of Wands and the Queen suites, and then the King suites. Okay, so moving on, the Queen of Cups. She's more internally. She's more internally acknowledging how she feels, right? She can dive deeper into her inner knowing, how she feels. She's very intuitive. She's very connected to her deeper emotions. She knows how to express them. She knows how to transmute them, right? Her feet are in water. She's surrounded by water, and she's focused on how she feels. That's her internal compass. And I feel like as a parent, whether masculine or feminine, or a mother or a father, we should all, acquire these same qualities, being able to be emotionally available for ourselves, but for our children too, right? We want to be able to have, we want to be able to open up space for our children to feel emotions, and to as well have them, connect to the I want to say relevancy. I don't even know if that's the word, but I said it. Relevancy of their own emotion, because it's relevant. It's relevant. Relevancy. Oh my God, here I am. Okay, so it's it's really funny. The details. When you look at the details, it's very intricate, and that's why I like tarot, because there are many decks that will show you different facets. And so look at this one, Queen of Cups. She's very in tune with her emotions. And I feel like as a mother, we should all aspire to be in tune with our emotions, so that when our children are asking for emotional support, we're there, right? We're not emotionally unavailable or emotionally disturbed or emotionally manipulative, which a lot of our previous generations, we had to deal with a lot of mothers that were that emotionally not available or emotionally very manipulative, because of how they grew up or the type of trauma they had in their own childhood or wounding, right? Moving on, Queen of Swords, right? We need to be able to develop those qualities of being honest, truthful, frank, knowing, when enough is enough, having boundaries, right? You see how her sword is drawn up? Nobody can get past this right here. It's her boundary, it's her limit. And I feel like with children, you need to set boundaries. And if you don't, they're going to walk all over you, right? But when you are a parent, when you show them that you have boundaries, they start implementing those same qualities within their own lives, right? They're not going to let people walk all over them, right? They're not going to be punching bags for other people as well, because they saw mommy and daddy, showcasing those same qualities. I was very much so like this. I had no boundaries because of my upbringing, right? But yes, I was walking with lots and lots of masks as well. But I'm definitely more walking like this. I've implemented some boundaries. I, started being real transparent with my children. Before, because I was emotionally unavailable, that's me. I was not able to stand firmly in my way of parenting, right? So depending on how or where you are on your journey, it's going to be different from one individual to another, right? Some are going to be, because of the wounding and the type of environment you grew up in, we're all starting like this. A lot of us is starting like this. Not many of us, but for a lot of us, we are starting like this. And then we slowly get to, flip it on the other side, which is what we want to do. But only life will move us there. And if we are as well vulnerable and open enough, right, to get through these experiences. And then the Queen of Pentacles, right, knowing your self-worth. That was a big issue for me too, right? And it's only recently that I was able to tell my children, hey, listen, mommy has self-worth. So you're going to have to recognize that. And in me doing that, it's also them recognizing that in them. Right? So the Queen of Pentacles, she values her resources. She values her worth. She's very focused on how she utilizes her energy, her internal disposition, her internal worth. She's not going to let anybody come and, take her pentacle away. Okay? And look around her. She's very much in nature. She knows what type of seeds to plant. She knows what type of crops, are fertile, right? She understands the cycles, the different cycles. So, yes, it's different. And they're all elements. That's what I like about tarot. So we're going to move on to the King of Swords. So we're moving on to the masculine side, or the masculine essence of things. So again, I feel like it's important for both parents, or even a single parent, to start mastering those qualities, internal as well as external, because when you do, you can then step into this Empress energy, right? Your children ain't gonna want to fuck with the Empress. Excuse my language, but not really. They're not gonna want to play with her. Okay? They're gonna see respect. They're gonna understand it real quick. They're not gonna want to play around. Same with daddy. When daddy steps in the Emperor energy, who won't want to play with that? Look at his steel boots. You're not gonna want to mess with that. Look at his beard. It speaks wisdom. But most of the time, when you're at that level, when you're at that level, is because, you know, it took years. There's wisdom there, right? You're probably a grandma or a grandpa, or you allowed life to shape you in hopes that you've mastered all characteristics. So the King of Swords, I don't know what type of class I'm doing or whatever. I just needed to come on here and share this. So the King of Swords, as much as the Queen of Swords, you know, they have the same attributes, you know, very much so. He's going to be more expressive. He's going to be more analytical, utilize his mental space more. He's going to be investigating, putting data together, collecting information. He's going to have a perspective of an owl, 360. He's going to be very mental, analytical. She will too, but it's about her internal disposition, having boundaries. He's going to draw his sword and go to battle, literally. Right? He's not afraid to do that. But he's going to also, you know, speak truth. He's also going to stand for his values, for, you know, justice. Okay? It can also represent a form of authority, or a form of, you know, a form of justice, is what I wanted to say. The King of Pentacles, right? He holds a pentacle in his hand, but he's also, what do I want to say? Like, his investment don't stop. He knows when to invest into what, right? He's looking more so outwardly for external resources. She's more internally focused. He's more externally focused, but as well, very well versed into what he's investing his time, his energy, his money, his resources, and there are many of them. And he's also a very knowledgeable man, I want to say. Yes. But they both are. I mean, yeah, especially this one. But this one is knowledgeable in the type of investment he's going to make. Like, he's going to observe, he's going to analyze, and then he's going to decide, okay, I'm investing into this because I know it's going to bear fruit. He's more knowledgeable in his investigating, in his, you know, decision making. Very has a process to his whole, you know, decision making. King of Wands, very creative, has leadership, has a vision, you know, is well known for, you know, how he shows himself into the world. You see how he's wearing this I want to say leopard print, you know, and his crown, like he's well. Look at his gator shoes, right? Like he's very stylish, very eclectic, I'm going to say. Very different. Look at his wand that he's wearing, that he's holding on to. Right? Like, and he's knowledgeable in a very creative way. Like, he's going to have a spark. He's going to have ideas that's going to make him very, you know, well known. He's going to know how to utilize resources with creativity, a lot of passion, very passionate, has a vision, will lead people. He knows how to be creatively expressive, very artistic as well. So that's the King of Wands. And then the King of Cups. So the King of Cups, he is expressive. He speaks his truth. He's in tune with his emotions. He's emotionally available as well, and he's able to know where he stands. Meaning, he has a clear head, right? He's not going to be hot-headed like the King of Wands. No, he's going to know when to cool off, when to speak, when to pause, when to reflect, when to go inside, or, when to go inwardly and when to go outwardly. Like, he's very paused. Posé. Yeah. And look at the cup that he's always aware of his emotions, of his also intuition. He's very intuitive as well. And he will be able to recognize his surroundings very easily due to other people's emotional disposition. Like, he is very intuitive as well, very discerning. What else do I want to say about the King of Cups? Yeah, very emotionally available, and takes his time to speak. Like, he's not gonna want to. That's when he's in the upright. When it's like this, it's a different story. Okay, so now that I've spoken about the King and the Queens, okay, and why is it important as a parent? Well, because when you are a king, or when you are a father, it goes both ways, okay? You want to be able to embody qualities of these different suites. You want to be able to, know when it's time to tell your children to fall in line, right? Know when they're telling the truth, when they're lying, right? If they're having issues, know how to observe, investigate, right? Collect data, right? Know what are your children's interests. That's more him. Know what are your children's interests. Lead them into investing into, different energies. Show them how to be focused when they have a certain interest, when they want to invest their energy, their time. Show your children different things, different creative, first you need to be observer, right? You need to observe them, and then show them different things that are gonna spark their creativity, is what I want to say. And then as well, provide emotional space for your children, right? Be able to, even when you need to discipline them in a way where they don't fear you, but they respect you, because they see how emotionally in control you are, right? Don't tell them to shut up and go to the room, which I know a lot of us do, but I mean, that's aspirations, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, it's aspiration. We should aspire to embody these things. Now, I wanted to show these aces. Okay. Yeah, I know. So these aces over here. So you have the Ace of Cups. You have the Ace of Wands. You have the Ace of Pentacles, and then the Ace of Wands. So you see this white hand behind all the aces? That's like God handing them out to you. In the tarot, they're going to be represented differently. But the Ace of Wands speaks of, handing you down an idea, a creative spark, handing you down some movement, some action, some passion, right? The wand can represent sex as well. The Ace of Pentacles, handing you down like energy, or a form of reward handed down from the divine to you. a form of recognition, a form of success, a windfall of something, or a gift. It could be material gift. It can also be spiritual gift. Speaking, this one is the Ace of Swords. A truth being handed down to you. That could be an epiphany, a revelation, a truth being spoken. A sudden clarity, like that's just the divine being, handing those things down to you, so there can be reflection. It could be what do I want to say, reflection, going within. There are many, there can be many outcomes when these things are handed out to you. This one is a windfall of emotions. If you're blocked, when this comes into your life, there's an overflow of emotion, so that you can be unblocked, so that you can feel, so that you can be fulfilled emotionally, so that you can, fall back into being emotionally balanced. Okay, so why am I talking about the aces? Because as parents, it's as if we were acting like the divine. It's funny, but it's the truth. Okay, like children, yes, they, the concepts of God, that sometimes is different for them to grasp, but we are the first models. As soon as they come out of the womb, we are their first models of authority. Again, going back to the Hierophant. Right? We are the first model of authority. So even, without, introducing them to religion or spirituality or whatever have you, you are the first model closest to God, because you are securing their needs and they will grow up under your authority. So even before you start talking about God, right, you have that power right from the gate. Okay. So this means that you have the power to hand them these different gifts, these different sudden events that's going to propel them forward, or that's going to propel them backwards. So let's say, for instance, when you give them a gift, birthday, whatever have you, Christmas, right? A handout, a windfall, or a surprise, when you give them a big up, hey, you did good, you did well in school, you compensate them, right? You express something towards them. Actually, no, that's, so this is more like a recognition. I want to say a gift, a recognition under any types of form. Okay. That's you, reinforcing, self-esteem in your children, self-esteem, but also self-worth. Okay. So that's going to be very important to act when you are being a parent, right? Give these little handouts, and that's going to be important for their self-worth, recognizing that they're worthy, because that's them. You're just reinforcing that they're worthy. Okay, so that's one. Number two, Ace of Cups. When there are these types of handouts happening, I'm going to call them handouts. The Ace of Cups, it can be, I'm so proud of you. It can be a windfall of emotion. Man, how can I say this? Giving them space, emotional support, right? Something happened and, they were quarreling with their brother. Instead of yelling at them, that would have been this, because it's going to create a emotional blockage. Right? You want to be able to open up and be like, okay, here, what happened? Open up space so that they can speak. Open up the space so that they can feel, is what I want to say more. That they can feel, and that they feel supported. That's them. You are supporting them emotionally. Next one is the Ace of Wands. So that's for the mommies out there, or the fathers out there that sometimes, do not know what to do with their children. You are this hand right here. Hey, let's go outside. Let's go take a walk. Let's watch a movie. Let's go play a sport. But that's through observation. When you feel that they're bored, that their creativity is scattered, or, they're not creating anything, or they're not learning anything, or their energy is just scattered everywhere. You come in because you're the authority and you say, okay, let's do something, right? It's gonna create passion. It's gonna entice their interest. It's gonna have them in this Ace of Wand energy. And lastly is the Ace of Sword. That one, a lot of African parents are gonna have a hard time with this one, because it's allowing the child to speak. It's allowing the child to express him or herself, right? You're handing out, it can also be, the parent having to speak a truth to their children, or bringing clarity to their children, but also it can be a space for them to speak, express themselves, right? We do not want to raise children where their where their throat chakra is blocked, where they're not expressive. We want to, start conversations. We want to have clarity over what their thoughts are. And don't look at me like I'm as guilty as you are, I'm just sharing what I think this is, but, I have to do as much work as any other parent, and I have to do double the work because, I'm a single parent. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. And what else? Yes. Okay, so next. So now that we know the type of characteristics that we embody, we know the type of authority we have over our children. And so we need to use them wisely, because we're acting like the divine when they're very young. And as they grow, they realize that, hey man, hey mommy, hey daddy, I can take my own decision. The lovers, I can make my own choices here. That's funny. It's funny how it tells a story. Yes. So, yes, one thing I wanted to say is the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups, when you open up the space, and yes. So all these things over here, all these little handouts that as parents we reinforce self-worth, self-esteem, right? Validate their emotion, their self-esteem, validate their passion, their creativity, their input, right? Validating their truth, or bringing them clarity. All these things that we're handing them out is gonna reinforce your children to be balanced, because this here is you're forging them to have this as foundation. They have intuition, they have an inner knowing, and they recognize that they are under authority that is healthy, that is balanced. So I feel like that's important, because that's their foundation. That's their spiritual foundation. Even prior teaching them tarot, or teaching them tarot. It could be, we don't know what families are teaching in. Every family or household is going to be different. Some are going to be introducing tarot at a very young age to their children, and that's fine too. Okay. Everybody has a way of developing intuition and, introducing the concepts of God. Everybody has their way of doing it. Okay. But you are the first model. Okay. As parents, we're the first model. So those handouts are going to shape your children. Those handouts and those characteristics that we need to forge within ourselves first is gonna, make sure that our children are growing up in solid foundation of being intuitive, right? Being knowledgeable, right? Trusting their intuition as well, and understanding that you as the authority makes sense, and that you're there and you're secure. when I say secure, you are providing them an authority that is secure for them, right? You're not abusing of power. You're not over controlling. You're not, you're not exploiting them with the authority that you have. You're healthy. Even before introducing them to a certain faith, to a certain religion, like, this is you right here. This is you solidifying that foundation for them. And then with life, before we get to life, or before they grow up, make sure that you are also bringing this into their life. The Three of Pentacles is partnership. You want to involve them into your life. Me as a single mother, I know that, I was struggling with, doing a lot of things in my house alone, right? Because they were small, they were young. But as they were growing up, I let them know, listen, I'm going to need your input on this. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need that you participate. Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles is investing towards the same goal. We are a family. We are a household. Let's work together. Let's make sure everybody has a share of responsibility in making this house functional, right? That's the Three of Pentacles. Let's invest together into making this house something that is secure, something that is safe for us to enjoy and to have. That is going to be, that is going to create a form of wealth in the long run. So that, children don't run by the time they're 18 out of your house, right? They do want to stay. They do want to come back. And the more they grow, the more they recognize how important this partnership that they had with their parents, help them shape who they are. So you want to be able to, help them participate in the household, whether it's through little chores, whether it's to, have them, realize and bring their awareness that their input matter. Through action, through, a form of investment. Okay. And then the other one is the Three of Cups. Being emotionally fluid with your children. So as you develop those qualities of King of Cups and Queen of Cups within yourself, you are able to have them being emotionally available, emotionally supportive, feel that they are emotionally supportive, and feel that they belong, that they have a sense of belonging with you. So again, that by 17, 18, 19, they're not running out of your house because you weren't providing this safe space or this emotional availability. You were definitely, providing this enjoyment of life in your household where they weren't feeling left out or feeling isolated or feeling like they couldn't express themselves. They feel that they matter. They feel that their emotions matter. So those two is really important. I don't even know how I'm going to name this video. Next thing I wanted to go to is when they grow up. So when they start being teenagers, the concepts of choice is important. The Lovers. Why is it important? Because all choices bring consequence. And again, like I said, those different suits, those different suites that we've checked, right? You only get to forge those characteristics within yourself when you go through certain life experience. Yes, you can read about them in a book, but if you do not experience life as to how advanced or how, how you're tapping into your own, self-improvement through different choices you make, you're not going to know. So unless you're not living life, you're not going to know if you are forging an identity that is very solid for your children and for yourself first. Okay. So what I'm getting with this is the Lovers, the choices that your children are going to make are going to have consequences. The card of consequence. The card of consequence is Justice, most likely. Yeah, it's Justice. So depending on the choices they make, right? I'm just gonna pick up the card of justice. Where is this? Okay, I'm gonna take this card too. Oh, it was totally at the end. Look at this. Okay. So the Justice card, which speaks about, karma, equilibrium, balancing things out, bring yourself justice. So as your children are growing up, the importance of taking leaps of faith, into choosing for themselves is going to be important. So as you have them, participate in the household, in the house, how you shape them is going to help them, or it's going to solidify their self-esteem into taking leaps of faith. The Fool card. The Fool card starts a new beginning of, stepping into the unknown, not being afraid, just, be brave and, just fall into whatever it is that you are being pushed or being called to, right? So you're making a choice. And ultimately, that choice is going to lead you to a certain justice. Now, those that do not believe in karma, I'm here to say, God is this all-seeing God, okay? There's no such thing as no justice. Everything gets to be balanced out in the scales, whether you are alive or whether you are alive. You do not get a $200 pass go or go pass or whatever have you when justice has not been served. Even on your deathbed, you're gonna get a form of justice, whether it's leaving this earth with regrets, remorse, unrestlessness. That's the worst type of death, when you're leaving and you're feeling like you have not balanced out the scales. So again, those concepts are going to be introduced to your children at a very young age, right? When they touch something that they shouldn't be touching, is because they made a choice, right? They were, with their curiosity, they made a choice, and it had them, having a form of consequence. And all of this is going to help them build their character. So life experiences through their choice, through this concept of choice, taking leaps of faith, making choices, and receiving a form of karma, whether good or bad, is going to shape them into becoming their own, right? And then the more they advance in life, the more they will or not aspire to become this or this. Now, when I say this, okay, and we're talking about the Emperor and the Empress, you see how they're stable, how they've come with a certain wisdom. When I talk about them in the reversed, I'm mostly talking about, you will find people or elderly that they've gone through certain experiences of life, but because they never took leaps of faith into making choices, or they were never really brought up in an environment where they felt safe, or they've healed certain aspects of themselves, or they worked on themselves, or they never heeded the handouts of the divine, well, then they end up like this. They're probably 60, 70, 80. They're probably bitter, right? They're probably unstable. They're probably, nobody wants to be around them. They're probably feeling isolated. They're probably bitter at the whole world. They're still probably blaming everyone for their own mistakes. They have not taken accountability for nothing. That's when you know that, they have come, or they've put themselves in this position, because everything is about free will. Everything is about a choice here. Okay, you guys, so that was my little tutoring for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this. Like, share, subscribe, and yes, I'll definitely see you in another video. So take care of your minds, your hearts, and your whole being. Don't be afraid to take leaps of faith into the unknown. Don't be afraid to look at your mistakes. Forgive yourself and know that, those mistakes were just And the more I'm talking to you, the more I talk to you is the more I confirm those things to myself as well. Okay. So never think for a minute that I'm high and mighty and above everyone. No, I'm just as human, imperfectly perfect, or perfectly imperfect, however you look at it, through whatever lens. So just know that, we're all on a journey. Nobody is caught off from making mistakes. Nobody is totally an emperor and empress. And even when you are there, there are still things that you need to work on as an individual. So, pat yourself on the back as a parent, as a human, as an individual that is trying your best. And just, tell yourself that everything is a learning process. We're all here to learn. We're all here to better ourselves. On that note, you guys,